All right, Schlockmeisters fans, we're going to watch an obscure title here called A Pleasure Doing Business, 1979, with Conrad Bain and John Byner. Let's check it out. The movie starts with a couple of old friends getting together for a stag party, including John Byner on the left, Conrad Bain from Different Strokes on the right.
Freedom! Best wishes from the gang!
Two of the guys make a bet on how much that prostitute makes, and it turns out it's about $2,000 a week. And that leads them to a business idea.
You lose.
They also run into Joe, Bubba Smith, in his film debut.
Knocked out the entire defensive backfield of the Badgers.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Looks like he's a pimp now.
Most likely to do anything he wants.
Well, I see you noticed a classy breed of individual here. Still, a few of us don't undress a woman with their eyes.
What's with this creepo?
Ready?
Let's go.
Why, that's restraint and free trade. Herb, you can't sit there and tell me that three halfway intelligent guys couldn't turn a pretty penny nuggets. Wait a minute.
They want to get into the pimping business.
Years together. This could
So they decide to go into business and incorporate.
Here's to our new venture, the
Say, what are we gonna call it?
The Halima Screw Factory?
Yeah, well, the name Halima is a contraction of all our three names. Herb, Lenny, and Marvin.
a small insertion in the help wanted section ought to do it.
So they look for help.
Basically describes the type of woman we're looking for.
They settle on Ronnie, who is played by Misty Rowe.
That sprinkler finish.
Oh yeah.
I can see it now in shades of gray. I just love painting everyday things, don't you?
Yeah. Just last week I did a wastebasket in acrylics.
Wow.
Well,
See, she's a painter, and she thinks she's going to be painting for them as an artist.
Spirit?
Yeah, see, all the greats went through tremendous periods of suffering to improve their art. Picasso had his blue period.
and Van Gogh even cut off his ear.
I knew a guy in high school used to cut his finger and write in blood.
Phyllis Diller has a small role as Ronnie's
You're
landlord.
not fooling me, young lady. All that noise, it's immoral.
Oh, I was just moving my easel.
Alone? Aha! Who's he?
That is one of the great art teachers of our time.
Now,
First
tell me
client.
about this young woman. Ronnie?
Her name is Ronnie.
Ronnie.
Well, I suppose that's short for Veronica.
Ah, Veronica. That is much nicer.
Sure, that's me.
And they meet.
Oh, I didn't order these.
No. They are for you, from me.
But I don't even know you.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Alfredo.
Yes.
Ronnie ends up showing him some of her art.
Here's one that I finished just today. Can you see how I'm changing my whole style? You see, what I'm groping for is, well, my dark spirit.
That is too bad.
But after wooing her a little bit, it pays off. And he's going to get what he asked for anyway. They find an ad for a hardware convention that's happening nearby, so they decide to open up
I
a
don't see a
booth.
Hellman listed anywhere. Oh, that's Halima. It's a paint demonstration.
Well, you'll have to get a number from the registrar in Suite C.
Okay, I'll be sure to take care of it.
Paint, you say? Union, I say.
They keep Ronnie behind this
Well,
curtain.
all artists have exhibitions.
But why do I have to be naked?
Well, because you're the exhibitionist.
Listen, honey, you want to sell your stuff, don't you?
Oh, sure.
And you believe in the neo-erotic movement? Hmm?
Oh, haven't I shown you?
Well,
There's also some funeral directors. Now, you can't run this business without having some
Pass.
mob
Nothing.
influence.
I tell you, mister, you keep your money, I keep my sandwiches, and we're even.
Thought we had a deal.
Look, you got no deal when it comes to Dominic Scarpucci. Nothing.
You'll be my very first.
And here is the aforementioned
You can
Dominic.
change right in there. Oh, come on, don't be shy.
Huh? Big guy? Shy? Not me. No, I ain't shy.
Somebody informed Dominic's wife, though.
Mrs. Scarpucci.
Anyway, one day Ronnie decides to just leave, take off, not tell anybody where she is.
Ronnie? The place was cleaned out. Old Lady Wildebeest pretended not to know anything at first.
No.
During that time away, she meets a nice man.
I think you're cute. Well, do you like it?
Interested,
She tries to explain this neo-erotic art movement.
Sure. They're anxious to spread the neo-erotic movement.
The what?
The neo-erotic movement. Oh, they're real nice to me. They send these patrons around and then they...
Oh, they purchase your paintings.
Uh-huh.
Stay with me.
They fall for each other.
Invited the whole town.
Another note. Get in the car and come and see me. RH.
That's all? Who's our age?
Ronnie Harris.
Meet Joe again.
Who you calling a pimp, Hunky?
You mean you're not?
Me? A pimp? Why, you little... Listen, Charlie. I've been to Notre Dame, and I've got my own business, and it's legit. Joe Marsh Escort Service. I escort people. I don't pimp for them.
Yes, the neo-erotic movement. It's anti-chic.
Well,
If
I
we
guess
may
she
let
interviewed on
Ronnie
TV.
speak, she is the artist, is she not?
Oh, yes. There are others. 3 others in particular. They're the real leaders of the movement.
And can you introduce them to us now?
Oh, yes. The patrons would come over and they would give me money. And I would take off all my clothes.
Now,
and-
wait a minute. You took off your clothes.
He told him to.
Why did you take off your clothes?
Well, Marvin said that I had to on account of the paintings would sell better if...
And Slapstick breaks out.
South. 6.
Overall reviews frequently.
Look, you're on TV!
Howard, let's have an in-depth look at the weather.
Well, it could have been worse. She could have pressed charges.
Our film
As it
ends.
is, you just have to pay for damages to the studio. And look, she sent you fellas a present. Nice likeness of Alfredo, don't you think?
Yeah, I'll hang it in the garage.
I hope you learned your lesson.
Deal's all set.
I figure we'll
They
need
decide
about
to become
25
bookies.
votes. What are we going to call this venture?
Well, why not call it the Halima Publishing Company? What? After all, we're bookmakers. And no advertising.
All right, let's talk about this bizarre movie, A Pleasure Doing Business. I say bizarre. Actually, John Biner was on Bizarre. If you remember that show from Showtime in the 80s. Conrad Bain, of course, did Different Strokes. He was Mr. Drummond in that one. He made this movie the same year, I believe the same year that Different Strokes premiered. Or maybe it was filmed right before Different Strokes started. I don't know, but it's kind of a weird crossover for him. But anyway, what we have here is 3 guys who meet at a stag party and they see a prostitute. And they're like, wow, that's a good business to get into. And they talk to her, one of them does, and finds out she makes $2,000 a week. And they're like, maybe we should become pimps and go into business like this. So they do. They incorporate and they find a woman played by Misty Rowe, who I think was one of the Hee Haw Honeys back when that thing was on the air. And she's this buxom blonde, pretty girl. But she's an artist. She paints. But they trick her into something that they call the neo-erotic art movement. So she makes her art, but she has to get naked to show the people her artwork because it will sell better. Plus, it shows her dark side, her dark mood, which is indicative of the neo-erotic art movement or some garbage like that. And she's a ditz, so she falls for it. And she ends up, I mean, the guys who are coming to visit her are expecting to get laid, and they do get laid because they end up wooing her, and she basically willingly, voluntarily sleeps with all of them. So that's the plot of this movie. They're basically taking advantage of Ronnie, played by Misty Rowe, and raking in the bucks, being pimps. They run afoul with a mob guy named Dominic. I think they called him Dominic the Turd. It was Dominic, something like that. The audio wasn't great in this copy, but I think he was called Dominic the Turd. And then there's this other guy named Joe, who was apparently a pimp, played by Bubba Smith, which allegedly this was his first role as well, former football player. You might remember him from the Miller Lite commercials in the 80s, Less Filling Tastes Great. And of course, he played Hightower in the Police Academy movies, I think all 7 of them. So anyway, eventually Ronnie runs away from the group and meets a guy and falls in love with him. Now, he's a smarter guy, and he kind of basically tells her that you're kind of being taken advantage of type of thing. She still doesn't quite believe it all, and she ends up on TV being interviewed, and she reviews the whole thing about the neo-erotic art movement, and everybody thinks she's nuts. Ultimately, some slapstick breaks out in the TV studio. John Biner is swinging on a vine or something like that, and ultimately they all part ways, and the 3 guys end up in some sort of hospital or something, and then they decide they're going to go into business as bookies instead, and that's how our movie ends. So that is A Pleasure Doing Business. Now, this came out in 1979, and it kind of has that same sort of feel of some of those other 70s weird, somewhat erotic movies. Can I Do It Till I Need Glasses? If you don't stop it, you'll go blind, that kind of garbage. This one is like that, except minus the nudity. There's no nudity in this at all. I don't think there was. Almost a couple times, but nothing at all. So this is almost like a PG movie. It's very, very tame. And honestly, it's not that good. The third guy apparently was Alan Oppenheimer. Now, why do I have this movie? Well, I have a few movies that I'm trying to track down that I had trailers for. I used to rent and copy movies back in the 80s and 90s, and there was a cool movie at the end of the tape that had a trailer on that. I would tape the trailer, and then I had like a tape full of just trailers and stuff like that. So, and I looked back at a list I had recently, and I was going to say, there's a bunch of movies in there I've never actually seen. One of them was this one. So this was put out on VHS by VCI, I believe, and that's the last we've ever seen of it. It hasn't been on tape in over 40 years, and it's never been released on DVD or Blu-ray or anything like that. So had to track down a copy of it and burn a copy of it for myself. Got some homemade box art here, and there's A Pleasure Doing Business. You're going to find very, very little about this movie online. I don't think there's anything on YouTube about it. I don't think there's any reviews on IMDb. Maybe they actually take it back. There was one critic review, but no people review. So even people back then didn't rent this movie. Nobody's seen this thing, but I got it in my collection. There it is, A Pleasure Doing Business. It's hard to track down. Good luck finding it, but I'm just curious if anybody else has seen this. And what do you think of it? Check it out. Leave some comments. I bet nobody leaves a comment. A Pleasure Doing Business. Watch it. Bye.